determined for us with political reaction before I jump to life saga, do my thing and sleep. Yeah, so it has been a very tough week. I don't know. Sometimes the body just refuses and it resists. I don't know. You kind of feel so fatigued. I don't know whether it's fatigue or pain, whichever. So Sifuna warned to tread carefully. Of course, when you check on Thread and many other platforms, people are warning Sifuna to be very careful. And the other day, while at Busia, he said he doesn't care because after all, people know he's home. If he dies, they'll easily bury him. I don't know. Did he really mean it? Does he really want to die at this age? I don't know. But that's exactly what he said while at Busia, that when people threaten him with death, he's not scared because if he dies, people know he's home and will be buried. So, of course, Sifuna was dropped from SG and the lady was given and the lady came up to speak and say that nobody is bigger in ODM. That's why Sifuna has to be dropped and they'll move on. And of course, we've seen so many people like Mbadi. Mbadi is really insisting that if Sifuna thinks he's so important, plus his brigade, he should be walking away quiet instead of blaming RUTO for anything, you know? So it's currently about defending your position or creating a new position. Now, on the other hand, Silasia has told us, that MP from Mias has told us that ODM is tied together. All they are doing is drama to create confusion for you as citizens as they continue looting. And I don't know who to believe. I've also seen a lot of people saying that Oburu wants the position of the vice president for themselves and possibly for Gladys Wanga. But when you go to the Mlima people have actually stood out, and what they are insisting, they are saying that is their position because Kindiki was given so that the Mlima would be okay. If it is picked, then they'll not be at peace. I'm like, hey, it is threats after threats. But anyway, what is this telling us about Kenyan politics? It's about selfishness. Selfish interests are at hand. So even the divisions we are seeing, we may not be surprised. You may find that they financed maybe to just create an ODM that is backing. Then at some point it's overwhelmed. Then Oburu is blamed. Yet inside they have their own agreement. Who knows? These things are tricky. We can never know. Kenyans are part of Kenyans. A large percentage of Kenyans, by the way, they can be very sly. And if you kind of listen to the statements by politicians, then you get confused because what is what? Now, of course, Joho is indicated to be going to replace Kindiki as the DP. But at the same time, we are also hearing about Gladys Wanga. So, do you think that Ruto is actually going to sacrifice Nyanza and then pick somebody from the coast? I don't know. Let's just listen briefly from Plage TV, then we'll come back, okay? Thank you so much.
You've had ODM wants a 50% cut of the government. You have had Oburu Odinga insisting the deputy president seat must land in their column. But what you haven't heard until now is who the party wants seat to Ruto on the 2027 ticket. ODM! Asante. A viral photo of the man who is to be Ruto's running mate in 2027 has surfaced, and it's causing serious discomfort in Kindiki's camp.
Hiyo kiti wakisema ati sio Kidura, Abraham, Kindiki, sisi Mount Kenya, na sisi tutoke broad base. Na sisi tutoke broad base.
In the viral photo, Hassan Joho, the former Mombasa governor and current Blue Economy CS, is plastered on a campaign truck beside Ruto, complete with words that say Hassan Joho two-term, Deputy President 2027.
Sisi tulikuwa washirika muhimu wa Raila Amolo Odinga.
You see, in Kenya, politics is often announced first on walls, t-shirts, and rear windshields, long before it arrives in party meetings. And this particular slogan is trending at the exact moment ODM's party leader Oburu Odinga has been turning the deputy president's seat into a public bargaining chip. Oburu has been vocal that if ODM is to back Ruto's re-election, then the DP slot must be part of the deal handed to an ODM nominee, not treated like a tip after dinner.
Ile kitu ambayo mimi nilisema ya kwamba huyo deputy president hatuna nini chuki na yeye kwa binafsi. Yeye binafsi hatuna maneno naye, lakini hiyo kiti ni kiti ya public. Election ikifanyika.
Speaking recently, he went further and hinted that 2027 should come with a twist. The coast, he said, must be ready to get power and be part of the negotiating table between ODM and UDA.
Ni lazima tupate power. Na hiyo kupata power mpaka wakosi watakuwa kwa meza. Wakosi hawawezi kuanza kuwa kwa meza. Wakosi watakuwa kwa meza.
And the coastal region has been applying pressure. There have been growing murmurs from the region that it may reconsider its relationship with the ODM if Joho, who many see as their most marketable power broker, doesn't get priority in the party's decision making.
Within ODM, the parties that are going to negotiate for and on behalf of ODM, Ali Hassan Joho must be in that table. And that is not negotiable. The cost has contributed heavily for ODM to this. And there's nothing they can talk about ODM without cost.
Ikiwa kutakuwa na wale ambao tunaita Kiingereza technocrats na kuna wale ambao watakuwa ni wanasiasa wabunge na hata kama kutakuwa na vitengo vingine, tunasema lazima viongozi wa pwani ama wa pwani wawakilishwe vilivyo.
When it comes even further, apart from the discussion of His Excellency the President, any other positions, then the coastal leadership, coastal
Guys, people. It has become a fight of regional places. Somebody brought this, what we call divide and share, you know. The partitioning of Africa came. And that was not just the end. As they came to different parts of the countries, they had to do what is called regionalization. When you go to Uganda, go to Tanzania, Ethiopia, Nigeria, and any other country that you know in Africa, you will have to get areas. In fact, even Jamaica itself, it has places so as Tobago and all those other places. Why? This was to create differences between one place and another. And of course, create that complexity of people wanting to share and acquire for themselves. Now it's happening. The reality has hit hard on the current government as the broadcast arrangements come. So while people are fighting for ODM or whichever other party, that is not the only fight. The other fight comes with now individuals from different regions defending their places. Now, people have been watching and they realize that the Nyanza region has been favored greatly of late. Of course, we started with Uasin Gishu, where the president himself comes from. And people kept saying that the president is favoring his own. Of course, with Farouk and Sudi supporting this. And then later on, people began to look at Central. Why? There was Gashagwa, there were Kimani Ichung'wah. We had many other people from, the mountain who are being supported. Then now came Kindiki. And of course, we've seen Kuria, Moses Kuria. We later saw people like Kiomburi. We've seen, so of course it happened that during this moment, the president really had to do a lot of camping and also rallies in the central place. And he has not stopped. Of course, recently we saw him in other places within the mountain, moving around and promising the people of Nyeri, among other areas, that he's going to be with them. He promised a lot, including bridges, markets, roads. And of course, these are the projects that many of them are waiting. And we have some major roads that have been promised to them. And after that, he has now had to impact, or rather move around the nation, assuring the people of Nyanza, for example, he has moved from Homa Bay to Kisumu to Siaya. And currently, as he walks or goes to the northern end, people are still waiting for him to come back. Now the coastal front has seen the need to actually fight for their space. And they are struggling so much to make sure that they have their share of the cake. Whoever said that in politics sharing the cake is vital did not lie. One has to take two pieces of bread or three, and then the rest will have to be shared by the rest of the leaders. Now, do you think these leaders are fighting for the people? It's actually not true. What they are fighting for is the space for themselves. Because what people understand, these people, the vocal individuals here, they understand that once Joe is given a space, then he's going to mention his own allies. And if at all, we'll have to see the Homa Bay governor also considered, she will have to mention her allies. The same happens to the Central. And that is why you can see that some of the women, young women, are being very vocal in the mountain to make sure that they attract the attention of the world, not just the world, but Kenya and the president himself. Now, gloves have been off as Kindiki now sends Roku and Kavogo to tell Ruto that there is no betrayal that is going to happen. Now let's check this from another end and just listen to this announcement.
Watu wananiuliza mbona wewe unasema mambo ya Ukikuyu? Kwani mimi ni kabila gani? Mimi ni waziri wa serikali ya Kenya, lakini ni Mkikuyu. Nimezaliwa hapa Ruiru.
We also have CS Ruko on record wailing about Kindiki. Here's the tip.
Jana maninjuzi tumesikia pale Mombasa, kinara wa chama ya ODM, Senator Omburu amejitokeza akasema chama cha ODM inataka kiti ya naibu wa rais come 2027. Sisi tunataka kuambia namna hii tukiwa hapa katika ikona ya mlima. Chama ya ODM tumekubali, tuko katika broad based government na tutafanya katika serikali ya Mheshimiwa William Ruto tukiwa broad based government, tukiwa tumeshikana kuendeleza umoja wa taifa letu na kuhakikisha kwamba serikali ya Kenya inafanyia wananchi wa Kenya kazi sawa sawa. Lakini Mheshimiwa Profesa Kithure Kindiki, huyo ndiye naibu wa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya kwa sasa. Huyo ndiye atakuwa naibu wa rais wa Kenya 2027 kuelekea 2032. Kama ODM inataka kiti ya naibu wa rais, tuko tayari kuwapatia kiti ya naibu wa rais come 2032 wakati Profesa Kithure Kindiki atakuwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
Now in this video I want to look at other reasons why Kindiki will be a casualty.
My goodness. What is this? This happened just after Kindiki ensured that he exposed the letter for dismissal when formerly Gachagua was a DEO. So let's now check on Sifuna. Of course, Sifuna returned to announce that he's still the SG of ODM. I don't know how realistic this can be. Just moments after the neck of ODM said that he's no longer going to serve as such, he came out and spoke that the illegal person cannot oust him out of that position. Now let's check on this and see what it means. But then we've had a lot of people concerned about this decision that we are seeing the SG taking, because some people feel that the difference between courage and foolishness is very narrow, and therefore they are warning Sifuna to tread carefully, because what might be waiting might be too big for him. So let's just see the return. Of course, we've seen the Republic of Kenya in Tribunal of Kenya at Nairobi County, Political Parties Disputes Tribunal. That was Edwin Watenya Sifuna versus Orange Democratic Movement. This was a court order. This matter coming up before Honorable Gad Gadu on 12th February for direction of notice of motion application dated 11th February 2026, filed under certificate of urgency and by Edwin Sifuna and the annexures the right to. It is hereby ordered that the notice of motion application 11th dated certified urgent. So Then what else? Let me read the one before. This matter coming up before that the notice of motion application dated 11th February 2026 be and is hereby certified urgent. That the complaint and notice of motion and application dated 11th February 2026 to be served upon the respondents immediately. That the respondents to file and serve the responses to the complaint and application within 7 days of the date hereof, with corresponding leave, and complainants to file and serve any supplementary response, if necessary, within 3 days. That the matter be listed for mention on 26 February. That the pending hearing and determination of this instant application inter partes, the Honorable Tribunal hereby issues order staying implementation of the resolution made by the National Executive Committee of Orange Democratic Movement, that is removal of Edwin Sifuna as SecGen of the party. Yeah, so it was more of a reversal of what had happened earlier. And so let's hear this.
Was illegal na imefanya illegal decisions. NEC ya chama cha ODM is fully constituted by 40 members. At the NEC we had yesterday, we had 34 out of the 40 members of NEC attending and present, and we had 2 apologies, which means that the NEC is properly constituted and can take any decision in line with the constitution.
Okay, so according to Gladys Wanga, whatever procedure they did was legal. But then, when Sifuna files a court case or a complaint, should Gladys Wanga come out and address in a brief, or let it be dealt in court? You know, it's never clear about some things in ODM. Currently, they are doing a lot of verbal noise, because we have heard from Junet. We've heard from Buddy. Of course, Buddy was even speaking yesterday. Was it yesterday or the previous day on JK Live? And then we also saw somebody else who spoke on behalf of ODM. I think there are more people who have spoken, and they are so happy because of what happened. But then, what is also surprising or shocking, I don't know whether it's propaganda, is the messages from people like Selassie. When Selassie says that this is a game they are playing on citizens, is he being serious, for example? Does he really want to convince us that what Babu and the rest of the brigade, Winnie included, is a joke? But then I was also looking at the responses Winnie had when she went for citizen interview with Okwaro. And when she was asked whether there is enmity between her and the uncle, she said there's nothing. And that politics also has its own way, and they only have a difference of ideologies, but they still have to work together. So as things escalate and the fractures happen, then it's not very clear as to what is exactly happening in ODM. It might be a game, indeed. We might, to an extent, agree. But then why this staccato? And of course, I'm seeing that they are delaying people so that with time, of course, they'll say that's how they never got it to establish a candidate, maybe, just maybe. But then we have an unmasking process that was conducted by Ndura Wariungi. We can briefly get to hear about it as we also watch over what other people have been warning Sifuna about. And of course, these are not people in his, the allies that are working with him, and they are not also in the other front. They're just neutral people coming out to warn Sifuna to be careful, because when it comes to a political situation, it doesn't just need the verbal aspect, but it needs more than that. So they have been warning him to tread carefully, but he has insisted that he's not afraid of death. He says in case he dies, people already know where he comes from. They'll easily do the necessary. So let's listen to Ndura Wariungi a little bit, then we can make our conclusion on this.
Agents. They use Junet will come, and in the day, Junet is campaigning for Azimio. Junet is the one saying Ruto must go. We cannot allow Ruto ni mukora, Ruto ni nini, Ruto ni nini. This is the smartness ambayo nimekuambia ya Muslim Brotherhood. See how they went to Minnesota. They got in there. They controlled the systems. They were employed in specific system that controls everything. They invited their kings. They joined them and they built their own kingdom in Minnesota, which took a lot of years before Obama. During the Obama, they were there. During the BTN, they were there. These people did not go yesterday. They planned long time. They entered into the systems and they controlled the system. They elected their leaders into the Senate, into the Parliament, into the county council. They had everything. They took all organizational structures that will mint money for them. Then they organized that they are helping, they are doing. If you go to Sweden, the same problem was there. Go to Netherlands, the same problem was there. Go to England. Right now, there are demonstrations that are being done in UK by them. They shattered the entire. I was there last year when they did a huge demonstration against the government of UK. And what was the agenda? There is members kama ni wa Labour ama ni wa hiyo chama kingine alikuwa anasema sasa interests za watu wa Uingereza iangaliwe. They demonstrated, they shattered, they walifunga kila kitu. The parliament had to go back, kurudi nyuma. Ndio iambie polisi wachaneni na hawa watu because they were overpowered. The police, they were powered, the system, they were powered.
All right, guys. So, according to discussions over out there, it seems that there is a scheme, but then we'll be watching that with time. But the clarity of what is happening is not very... why is SIFUNA not threatened, for example? So it might not be clear what game ODM is playing because so many of them, including Junet, when he was interviewed, he also said that those controversies is a game. So let's look at this also. Oburu Odinga and Gachagua, what was their business?
A rare political moment unfolded in Machakos after ODM party leader Senator Oburu Odinga, DCP party leader and former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua, and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka were seen together at the home of Machakos Senator Agnes Kavindu. The meeting quickly sparked debate across the country, given the current political alignments. Oburu Odinga has recently been associated with President William Ruto's broad-based government arrangement, a move that has reshaped alliances and stirred reactions within opposition circles. On the other hand, Rigathi Gachagua and Kalonzo Musyoka have been positioning themselves within a camp widely perceived to be strategizing for the 2027 general election with the aim of challenging President Ruto. Their joint appearance therefore caught many Kenyans off guard, triggering speculation about possible behind-the-scenes negotiations or shifting political ground. However, details that have since emerged indicate that the leaders had converged in Machakos to condole with Senator Agnes Kavindu following the loss of her son. The visit, according to those close to the matter, was meant to offer comfort and solidarity during a period of mourning.
All right, so of course, they always say that politicians are never permanent enemies. And of course, if they are enemies, they don't show it on the face, possibly. So when that video sparked a lot of discussions on social media, it led to what can be called propagandas and all that, because what is required in political fights is simple video, simple camera moments for a photo, and that is enough to speak volumes. And of course, these have started a lot of discussions because Oburu was chatting with Gachagua. And with the current stance or ideologies in the two different fronts, then it sparks a lot of discussions that would actually bring a lot of different views, maybe from different people. But that is exactly what politicians say. Today, what they don't support will be supported the other day, because ODM was never expected to really stand with the current broad-based arrangement and talk together. Of course, when the President Ruto took over leadership, he was sternly against any arrangement with ODM. But finally, we can see they are working together, so nothing is impossible. So as we keep waiting for it, of course, what we need is only the aspect of sanity. So, of course, we have seen a lot of discussion surrounding SIFUNA, but we are also waiting to see what's going to happen. Is it just the aspect of courage, or do we see any sort of foolishness, as somebody has said that the line between the two is very, very thin? So we end here as we wait for more discussion. Bye-bye for now.